I want to give you two options on how to do a DIY lat pull down for working out at home without having to invest in a big, bulky, expensive piece of equipment. The two ways that I have tried that have worked really good for me, one of them requires anchoring an anchor into the ceiling. The other one requires an attic entrance. It depends on what you feel more comfortable with and what you have access to at home. There are other ways to do it. These are two that I have tried out multiple times and have been pretty happy with the results. I would get a bolt that's going to be 2 or 3 inches long. I would recommend using a Loctite washer. I'm showing you one bolt, but you want to have 2 bolts in there. I did it in a garage that was unfinished. And you could look up at the ceiling and you could see the mud and the tape lines. So you had a pretty good indication where the studs were. I just took a carabiner that I also bought at Home Depot. And you just clip that on there. That way you can put whatever band you want on there. You can just clip the band on. This is bolted where I had to do this in a real high point. And I had some chain lying around and I just strung some chain down and then attached the band to the chain. So it just depends on how high your ceiling is and how far you're pulling. Didn't buy this, I just happened to have this for a different project that I was using. You could use a barbell, you could use a dowel rod, as long as it's a thick, long dowel rod. So basically what I do is I bring this up into the attic and I lay this down like so, and then I can put my bands over it. A couple ways you can apply your bands. You just loop the band. So if you take it, loop this around, loop it back down, so just kind of going through itself, and just pull it tight. You pull that tight, that works out really well. You could also double it up. Just take this and really throw it over the top. Have it like that. This, with the double, is going to be much harder than if you just loop it. How you apply your band is really going to depend on the distance you are from your attachment point. The further you are from your attachment point, the more difficult it's going to be. So if you're pretty close to your attachment point and you need high resistance, you can just throw the band over and use it like this. If you're going to be really far away, this is going to get really tough really quick. So I would just loop it. Now, it also depends on if you are going to do your rows, do your lat pull down standing, or if you're going to do them seated. Sometimes people will pull a bench over and sit down and do them. So it just depends. I always recommend and prefer people to do them standing because most people sit all day. So I like to get you up and standing. So now I have it placed. So the way that this works for me is if I was to try to stand here, this is awkward. Right? If I fold the ladder up, it works pretty well. Now, once I have this set, and again, I'm going to say safety is the key. So if you're using a pipe or a dowel rod or something like I'm using now, I would want you to secure it. Otherwise, it's just going to slide around. You don't want to have something that has the potential of falling on your head. So the nice thing about the PVC pipe I'm using, it's 7 foot long. So well away from the space, well away from the hole here, I just have a couple pieces of plywood on top of it. I'm not doing anything wild, I'm not jerking this around, so for me that works really well. Do something that you feel comfortable, that is safe. Simplest and easiest, just grab the band. If I'm going to do 2 at a time, I can just grab it like this, set my posture, do my pull downs, clip on. You can clip both of them on. You can have one of them on. You can do one arm rows. Now the challenge is going to be if you're here and this is my length, I don't really have much of a range of motion. So in this case, you can come down, do a split stance. You could sit down on a bucket or on a bench kind of thing. You just want to figure out what makes sense for you. And this could be where instead of looping it, I could double the band around. So I'm a big fan of using what I got, not having to buy new stuff, but just cut that off, drill the hole, put an eye hook through. Even if you don't want to go all out and make a handle like this, you could just use a dowel rod. You can just put it through. This isn't one of those little tube bands with handles. That's not what I'm talking about at all. The heavier bands will be thicker, but the bands that I have are, I believe, 41 inches. So you want to make sure that you don't accidentally get the really small ones. I would probably invest in a good one, especially if you want to have one that's reliable, it's not going to wear out and snap on you. These I've had for, I think, 6 years now. I bought these from Elite FTS, and these have been great bands. They work really well. It's going to depend on your strength level. Depending on which one you need to use, you might not have to buy all of these. There's several other bands you could get. I have some friends that are really big into Rogue, and they have bands that look really well and they've used for a long time, so those are probably pretty good as well.